and welcome back to Western Mass Turf. We are in our 10th episode, and I'm so excited for our crew tonight. Yes, we have a crew, quite a bit of people on tonight. First, I'd like to welcome back Busy Bees. Mike,
How you doing?
welcome back to Western Mass Turf. Great, good. And we also have a reoccurring guest here tonight, our good friend Lushy. So welcome back, Lushy. How are you?
What's up, gentlemen? Excellent. Glad to be here.
Great, good. We're happy to have you. And tonight, our very special guest, one that we all know and love. We have the Green Ray Ito. Hi, Ray. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, Ray?
Great.
Good to have you here, bud.
Oh, thanks, Lushy. Thanks.
Yeah. So we have quite a few things to unpack tonight. So we have the all-star team here, and for everyone in Massachusetts, we've got another 4 weeks away before we really start pounding the pavement here. So putting our first applications down, and we have a great cast here that can answer some questions tonight. So
I don't know. I might be about 2 to 3 weeks out.
yeah, you get
We get a little warmer than you do over here, out in the because we're a little closer to the coast.
Yeah, that's true. You do. Yeah, you guys get out there a little bit earlier than we do.
Unless you're going to wait for that 55 degrees.
I already told you it's 55.4.
55.4 to be exact. That's true. That is true.
We're gonna make that on a shirt and give it a
Inside joke right there.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. And in fact, I think that's a good topic to kick things off, right? So obviously, we're for Lushy and I, we're going to be putting down our pre-emergence, right? And so a conversation that we were having earlier was, what's the appropriate time to do that? And maybe Mike and Ray, you can get into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, because I don't have temperatures that go below 55 ever, where I need pre-emergent, it just gets done such that I have continuous coverage 12 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And that involves a prodiamine split and then a spectacle or indaziflam split in the later half of the year. So that's what I consider total pre-emergent coverage for grassy weeds. However, make note, at no time do I count on the prodiamine or the indaziflam to provide any control over sedges or broadleaf weeds. That is not what a traditional pre-emergent is for. I mean, people, please, if you're applying pre-emergent and it's the normal pre-emergent like your prodiamine, dithiopyr, or pendimethalin, those pre-emergents are best used for crabgrass, and then at increasing rates, POA or goosegrass. But the low rate for crabgrass is not very effective on many of your other grassy weeds. So just use your pre-emergence with that understanding, and also know that generally your cool season grasses can be less tolerant of pre-emergent versus an established Bermuda grass, for example.
No, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, for Brent and I, we're not as elaborate because we don't have to be, because we get that nice little winter break to slow things
reset
down. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's may not like it when it's snowing and it's -4 degrees out, but it's and that's rare for us, really. It's pretty mild winters, but it is nice to get that reset and kind of get to restart and go after it. You guys with the warm season trends, I know Busy deals with both and Ray deals with both. It's a world I don't want to live in, and I know Brent has said the same thing. You guys have to get completely elaborate. I don't know if everybody knows where Ray is, but Ray's actually out in Hawaii, for those that may not know Ray. So he has a few environmental issues that we wouldn't have here up in Massachusetts.
Oh, he's got quite a few.
Yeah, he's a full-blown tropical zone. Yeah, I don't know. You get tropical down there. You get hot, muggy.
Yeah, it's 68 and clear right now. Our high today was 82.
Oof. I think we hit maybe 38 today. Maybe 41.
I started slinging my first round preempts on all my warm seasons January 7th when all my chemical got here. It just started full send. Because like before this started,
I
I have no idea.
don't know. I have no idea.
no. I'm trying to figure out how to be PG with this.
And that completely broke his brain.
Oh, you see.
Okay, from the pro applicator side,
Mhm.
going down early with your preem is like your girlfriend having her period early
Hey,
instead of late.
A lot less nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
That's the most PG way I can do it.
yeah, no, you did fine. You did fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. No, we were joking.
I struggled on that one.
Yeah, you did great. That was good.
We were joking, and I was going to get to the point where if I started at 55.4 degrees soil temperature, I wouldn't be done with my first round until June. So,
Whoops. Whoops. Wow.
we got to get down a little bit
Yeah.
earlier.
So that if you're a homeowner and you're watching it, yeah, you can play it a little closer because you have 1 yard. Maybe you're helping a friend. You have 2. Maybe you're doing some families. You got 5.
Mhm.
That's a weekend or a week. 2 weekends that you can space that out. And it's going to rain. I can perfectly time it, and that's excellent. Pro applicators, we have a much broader spectrum of customers that we're servicing, and we need a bigger window. So, and I know I get people that freak out. They're like, "Oh, it's gonna rain." It rained. Yeah, okay, it's all right. It's supposed to water in. Well, it was a lot of rain. It was 0.3 of an inch. It's okay.
It's
know.
not like earlier. What was it? When did I talk to you, Ray? Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, something?
Yeah, you got
Oh,
like
you-
a foot of rain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he got literally, I think what he said, an inch
0.99
and 10.
Yeah,
in almost
0.99 in 10 to 15 minutes.
in
Yeah.
10 to 15 minutes.
That's
And,
a,
and
that's
that and what I told Busy Bees there, I said, goodness me, that sounds like the kind of rains that I had all of last week, over the weekend, and then finally stopping today. And my policy on that, of course, is last thing I want is fertilizer or herbicides to lift up in the floodwaters and float. I mean, that's like a no-go. And so at that point, here's my challenge is, I have to bite my tongue and have Miyagi-like patience when somebody tells me, "Oh, but Ray, why aren't you here? It is not raining at the moment."
yes.
Yeah.
And I then look and I realize we're likely to get one of those deals where an inch of rain comes down in 10 or 15 minutes. And here's my other little factor to consider. If it's already been raining and it rains like that some more, your ground is no longer able to take any more water. So what happens is any more water or other on top of that just becomes flood water.
Right. And it
I mean,
washes out, and your application washes away.
Yeah, my application goes in all the places that it doesn't belong because you see, do you know what my most feared circumstance is? My most feared circumstance is when the Hawaii Department of Health publishes their report of what they've found in the waterways on the island.
Yeah.
That is my most,
Right. Because what's going to get banned next?
Yeah. Yeah. What is going to get banned next? And the most likely targets for what's going to get banned next are all of these oddball, obscure herbicides that only I use, for example. Okay? Because they figure, hey,
when you say oddball, which oddballs are we talking about?
We'd
Okay,
rather not say.
Yeah, just kidding. Oddball.
yeah, well, I'm just saying things like pre-emergence, for example. Pre-emergence or a sulfonylurea herbicide or else here's one where, like the last time they published that report, they found bifenthrin in the waterways.
That's not good. No.
Wow.
But cannot necessarily stick that on the commercial applicators because as far as I know, consumers are allowed to buy products containing bifenthrin and
Home Defense sold at Home Depot as a
You're right, Lushy, and I'm just imagining what if somebody
there's a couple ortho products or some Spectricide that has that too.
Yeah, so I can just imagine what happens if somebody decides to apply this around their house and we get that 1 inch in 10 minutes rain right after they've made that application. What happens, right, Lushy? Brent?
Yeah.
It's going to float. And here's the thing about these pyrethroid insecticides. They're actually not that biodegradable. Okay? They're designed to literally be, how shall I say, environmentally stable. So, and of course, what typically happens is they go into the waterways. And because these waterways are then typically, shaded by tree cover, whatever, no sunlight to break them down, it's perfect. Perfect conditions for a chemical to become persistent. And so yeah, that's just my nightmare. And of course, the other one that the Department of Health found in the waterways was glyphosate.
Eek. Again, that's another one that the homeowners can readily buy.
Well, homeowners and and this is where people are going to think I'm weird, but I have a policy where I do not apply glyphosate to hard surfaces that drains into waterways. That's my policy.
Boy, do I have a story about blah.
It's a great policy. I gotta admit, when I was down in Florida a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a teams of guys backpack spraying on the sidewalks right next to canalways and stuff. So I was like, I just want everybody in the car to take a look at that because you'll never see that in Massachusetts.
Okay. Well,
If they're doing it right, they're running diclot.
and Brent,
Yeah.
the corollary to this is that typically when I do have weeds in that kind of a situation,
Mhm.
I then go no spray and I break out the propane torch.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Yeah.
And you know what? Believe it or not, in environmentally conscious Hawaii,
Mhm.
I get a lot of cheers of approval for doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's not a herbicide. I mean, the only
Sure.
person that gave me weirdness about burning off weeds with a torch was this West Coast transplant.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
That's the only person.
Because you were burning it off and creating a carbon footprint with it.
Yeah. But otherwise,
Like
You know,
you can't win.
no, the
Just
people,
Just
the people
take
that were,
your sandals off and rub your toes through it.
yeah, because the people that were born here, they, are deathly afraid of herbicides and chemicals, but then they understand a torch because it's only fire. They understand that it's only fire and it incinerates the weed and nothing, terrible comes of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense to me.
hmm
I
So,
bought one for my mother.
Dan, since you're watching, if you're saying if they spray correctly, they spray 3 to 5 days of no rain, and it's okay to do so. Are you talking about glyphosate, or are you talking about diclot? Because diclot is actually safe for aquatic.
It's safe for aquatic, and the difference between diclot and glyphosate is that did you all know that diclot is very strongly bound and sequestered by the clay particles in soil and in organic matter present in waterways? So what that means is that should there be diclot in the water, the sediment in that waterway will rapidly bind to and tie up whatever diclot is in the water, taking it out of,
Sure.
solution, so to speak.
Yeah, I use it in ponds when I use my copper sulfate, and I run my diclot to like
Oh,
kill the algae and the like lilies and koi ponds.
right. There is labeling, right, that
Yeah.
allows for a diclot and copper-based herbicide, algicide for use in ponds. I saw that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and and we I forget which one it was. It was called. And we used to play around with it a little bit years ago. I think it's Aquatic Roundup or something like that. That that sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
That's pretty much diclot.
Yeah,
Mm.
and it helped control. I think you had to use it with a surfactant, and it was fish friendly application, and
Mm-hmm.
mainly used to control. I think we used it to control cattails. I believe it was cattails.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sounds about right.
So there's definitely some herbicides out there that are perfectly safe to use along waterways and actually in the water. Um, for those issues. I know up here we have a few problems with our lakes and ponds that treatments were made. I believe a treatment was made a few years ago to Lake Metacomet, and there were some issues with foliage burn, right? So the foliage around the lake, I think it was either 3 or 4 days after the application, overhanging trees and shrubs and stuff started to wilt back. Would any of you guys have any experience seeing that or knowing about that?
Sure. I mean, the most likely suspects I can think of for causing that, Brent, are if they happen to use 2,4-D or triclopyr as their aquatic herbicide.
Mhm.
Problem is, and this is something to be aware of, is if those shrubs and trees have roots that extend into that water
Sure.
and you've bolus dosed with 2,4-D or triclopyr to kill aquatic weeds, then when the roots of those trees and shrubs take up the herbicide, they
Sure.
will be adversely affected. I mean, that's because, okay, I got to tell you then about how up until very recently, either diuron or simazine were labeled for application in water.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. However,
Also, isn't MCCP?
no MCPP, not allowed, never was allowed. But then
Okay.
I remember there was another time when a simazine product and diuron were actually allowed for use into actual ponds. However, it became problematic because what happens when a tree or a shrub, for example, has roots that extend into that water? That tree or shrub is gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the good thing is that dicot, for example, is not like that. Dicot doesn't transfer via the roots back up into plants. That's a good thing.
yeah, right.
You know, so however, just so that everybody knows, dicot is rather hazardous to handle.
Yeah, it's not good for the applicator.
No, I mean, let me put it to you all this way: do you folks love your kidneys and liver?
You tell me, Ray.
Yes. Yes.
The difference is
Yes,
that
yes.
the human body is designed to detoxify and excrete small amounts of alcohol. It is not designed to process dicot.
No.
Therein lies your problem.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's the big problem, is that we are not made to pass dicot through us. I mean, in fact, that is like the whole issue, is that you know how dicot reacts with leaves?
So, Ray, would you say it's better to use dicot and hose in?
Oh.
Okay, if you don't mind taking a bath in it, if you don't mind accidentally taking a bath in it, and from what I know, that stuff is very easily absorbed through skin. That's its issue. Is that,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of those products or chemicals where it easily passes through skin, and once it passes through skin, then it starts to find, you know, organs and tissues to destroy.
Let's bring this conversation full circle with the hose and sprayer.
Yeah.
and pre-emergence. Let's just drive this bus right off the cliff.
Yeah.
The homeowner out there that has some 65 WDG, do not use your hose end sprayer to make that application.
Yeah.
Please
It's in the
don't.
label. Please don't do it. It's that simple. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Just don't do it.
Just don't
If
do
you-
it.
Or you're gonna buy it like, oh, I have that. That's fine. If you want to make other applications that are okay to do that, fine. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want to do pre-emergent and that's your option for doing liquid, don't do it. Just buy the granular and put that out. Buy it with nitrogen, buy it without nitrogen, and just
Right.
put it out that way. You have another avenue to put that out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not bad. It's not bad. And I'm going to hammer this again is that it's not a matter of the product not working. It could well be that you should have put that product out earlier because think about it, folks. Pre-emergent.
Right.
Pre-emergent. And what that means is that in order for the pre-emergent to work, that needs to be on the soil and in the ground before the weed has actually emerged. So a lot of instances of people saying that pre-emergent didn't work, it's probably because at the time that they applied that pre-emergent, their weeds have already broken ground and have emerged already because most pre-emergent herbicides do nothing to weeds that are already at the 2 or 4 leaf stage. You're kind of too late. Exception to that would be Dithiopyr applied as a spray
Yeah.
with a surfactant
Yes.
to 2-leaf crabgrass.
And
That's
that's supplied as a full rate, seasonal rate, not a half rate. I'm going to do a split. That's a full rate of Dithiopyr.
Oh, right.
Dimension.
Yep.
What it?
the dimension liquid applied as a your annual maximum in that one application on 2-leaf crabgrass. I mean, I need to kind of make that clear because I've heard stories about people being told to go put out dimension on fertilizer if they already have crabgrass. And I'm scratching my head and thinking, wait a minute, how is the dimension granule supposed to work when the granule is not even going to stick to the leaves of the crabgrass?
Yeah.
How's that going to work? I'm trying to figure that out.
The other thing that I come across a lot too is the difference between the 2-leaf stage and the second tiller stage. So a lot of people go, oh, it's second tiller there. I can go throw that down and control the crabgrass, but it's not the second tiller. It's the 2-leaf stage.
Two
Right.
leaves. Yeah. 2
And
leaves.
I got to
Which is
quote
not
J
big.
Bart over here.
No.
It's not big.
It's not.
It's not. Like when that third leaf comes out, you've lost with that particular product the ability to do anything with it.
Yeah.
So
that-
Brent,
that's-
I got to quote one of the
Good to
guys
know.
that was on earlier, J Bart.
Sure.
If you're not running quinclorac in cool season, then fuck you.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the other thing about quinclorac is that quinclorac is super effective if you happen to get it down soon after that 2 to 3 leaf stage. It literally is less effective as that crabgrass gets old.
Yeah.
And in general, a lot of herbicides basically stop working or are less than effective if your weed is older. And if your weed is older, then you're going to have to do a bit more than just hit it with a single herbicide, for example. You've got to do a bit more work. But I'm not saying that it can't be done, but then your application is no longer as simple as one herbicide or one product and you're good. It gets harder.
It does. Yeah. No, it does. And I think a lot of the time, and I know we've been kind of up there, they train us in that, is if you either get it early or you get it late, right? So that's kind of what
Mhm.
you've been trained. I know I've been trained in since I started doing this. And what would be some of the difficult ways somebody could go about taking on crabgrass with some different herbicides in between those stages, Ray.
Oh, none of them are good, and
No.
they're rather hard on the desirable turf grass because, say you're out of the window for an optimum application,
Sure.
then you're looking at, for example, tenacity plus acclaim
Hmm.
plus triclopyr,
Yeah.
and or you're
Or
looking at
Pilex,
or you're looking
Claim
at
and Triclopyr.
yeah, Pilex,
Core.
acclaim, and yeah, you're looking at all of these things, or else quinclorac plus sulfentrazone. However, I tend to avoid doing sulfentrazone on grasses once my temperature goes above 85 degrees.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's just because sulfentrazone stops being very selective once it gets hot. That's just the nature of the product. Whereas,
It starts burning everything.
whereas if you
I have a
do it,
burn with no return with that.
oh, I remember. I mean, and the problem is that could have all been avoided because in real life, this is real talk. Did everybody know that sulfentrazone is actually a pre-emergent? It's actually
Well,
a pre.
I knew.
Yeah, we're the exclusive club here.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, but
But it's
then-
a pre-emergent for a lot of things, not just a couple. It's got a pretty good range of what it can be utilized for as a pre-emergent.
right. And so if somebody's putting down their prodiamine or their dithiopyr and they know this is a weedy, nasty, hard to deal with lawn, they'd be best served adding sulfentrazone to their early spring pre-emergent application and get ahead of their weedy, nasty problem. I mean,
Well, Ray, for something like that, what do you think about say your prodiamine, WDG, your sulfentrazone, quinclorac, and triclopyr?
that is and okay, I have a name for that mix. That's the Lushy mix. That's the Lushy
Yep.
mix.
Because I've run
Yeah.
that in all my blended FSQ centipede Bermudas.
And doesn't that do a good job of keeping those lawns clean?
It does. It does. We actually
Everything.
we
that
don't run
used to
the
have-
we don't run the quinclorac. We run the mesotrione instead.
Oh, you do tenacity instead.
with
and
tenacity, because we have there's a hidden agenda to that, which Ray helped me cook up, and that is I do not like bent grass. And
Right.
This is this is a
My
sneak
brother.
attack. It's a sneak attack on bent grass to really kind of whack it up. It doesn't kill it, but it starts to ding it, and we make it uncomfortable until it, basically says you don't want to
Leaves.
live here. You're gonna want to leave after a little while. So
Yeah, you're going to want to kind of like go out the way you came because, yeah, I understand that in a coarser texture, taller mode, cool season grass, bent grass is not exactly desirable. Whereas for
No.
me, my fantasy is to have an entire lawn with bent grass kept at a 1/4 inch.
Same.
it just
Same.
yeah, it doesn't have the same color. It doesn't have the same texture. And come mid-July, August, it just everyone's mowing a little bit taller, trying to help out, and it just flops over. It gets leggy underneath and
It looks
browns
nasty.
out. Oh, it looks
Yeah.
nasty. And then the mower comes by and kind of lifts it up or doesn't, and then it's
Mm.
just this. It looks like it looks like you have mange in your lawn, is what it looks like.
So, Lushy, welcome to Common Bermuda.
I mean, it has a lot of the same properties. I mean, It does.
Yeah.
It definitely does have that.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's a fair statement because my impression of bent grass has always been that it acts almost like Bermuda grass, except it grows in the cool season area.
Mhm.
And so that's why, to me, I would not feel too strange having to maintain bent grass. I would not. I would not feel too weird because same care, same type of
Well,
maintenance.
well, same but different. Like if we're nuking common, we're going full Cincinnati.
Ouch. Yeah. Out. Bye
And
bye.
you ain't got to worry about POA either.
Not wrong. Not wrong. Because that circles us back into a lot of the craziness that we've seen on Facebook regarding POA emergence in the transition zone.
And all they want to do is spray Negate or Revolver or Celsius. And I'm like,
Mhm.
why?
Why? Because
If you have this hybrid, send this.
okay, here's the actual labeling on tenacity in case people don't know. It is actually labeled for application to dormant Bermuda. So if your Bermuda is dormant and you've got winter grassy weeds, guess what? Tenacity works for those winter weeds. You may combine that with simazine, which you should be using as part of a program that doesn't depend on just one herbicide, but you do that to your Bermuda lawn that happens to have winter grassy weeds coming up like POA in that Bermuda, it's going to be a lot less expensive and probably very effective versus messing around with the various trendy Negate or Revolver,
Fahrenheit.
or Revolver or whatever. Because by the way, a lot of the POA in the transition zone is now resistant to herbicides like Revolver. There is resistance.
You know when I pull a Revolver or Katana?
Mhm.
Brand new yard, brand new, and I have massive goose Dallas infestation.
Yes, that is the
And I am
appropriate.
charging.
Yeah, and you're going to make them pay for that because who has money for Revolver? Because last time I looked, a quart of Revolver, and my guy at Simplot literally asked me, Ray, you sure you want this? Because this is $250 a quart. Yeah, he asked, you sure you want it? I said, yes, send it. Send it. I mean, they're paying for it, so send.
$339.86 at Do My Own right now for a quart.
What?
However,
I'm
Lushy,
glad I have stockpiled.
no, I pay what's called agency price for Revolver.
Well, yeah, that's shipping. We can do a little. Let's see. I'll do a little search and see what we get.
What's Katana right now, Lushy?
That stuff is, I believe, $250 for
I don't-
that little.
No, it was
bottle.
like $485 last time I checked.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. I mean, that is expensive. I mean, that is just.
Cheapest Revolver I see is $303, and there's probably shipping that you're going to have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Your 87-ounce bottle, which is on eBay, is $729.
Yep. Yeah, and
Katana. What do we got? What pops up for Katana? That is $289, but that looks like a tiny little bottle.
don't sneeze at that because the use rate on that is literally only 1.5 ounces per acre.
Okay.
If that.
If
I'm
that,
just trying to
yeah.
see. It's a 5 ounce bottle.
Yep.
289.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, not bad. But then you have the issue of there's a better, less costly way to do it if you have the means to do it, because
Crack Shack.
I heard I heard the stories about how people, the pro applicators go out with the spot treatment of Revolver and the POA doesn't die. Now what are they going to do? The POA doesn't die.
Can you use
And
ethyl fumazate on dormant Bermuda?
you kind of sort of can. However, if it's common Bermuda
No.
is not as tolerant.
If it's hybrid, yes.
But if it's common, you will risk severe decline of that common Bermuda.
Even with your TIF 419, what I've seen is like a very delayed green up.
Oh, if you do that in the winter or fall for your POA, the 419 is late greening up.
It has a late green up down here.
Uh-oh. Okay, mentally cataloging that.
Speaking of late green ups and using sulfentrazone as a pre-emergent, if it is a newly seeded lawn the fall before, you may want to pull that out of the arsenal. Because that will ding up your cool season coming out the next year if you come out.
You can go over the top with quinclorac and not have an issue.
Oh yeah. Like you can use mesotrione or tenacity, quinclorac. You can definitely go after it with that.
Why not stack the two?
You can.
Yeah.
You stack the two and you
Stack
get
the two,
kind
there's
of
your pre-emergent. With
right. Pre and post, and
this is something Ray and I talked about.
Yeah, and then you don't have to worry about that like shitty ass fucking pre-mixed goddamn fucking pendimethalin.
Well, here's the thing. Is that you do quinclorac and tenacity, that gives you like the best of both worlds. And if you happen to, and here's one more thought that I had.
Go ahead and throw in crossbow.
Yeah, and here's my other thought is, if you have a fall seeded lawn and it looks kind of sketchy or shaky, and you're going to have to seed it again that fall to thicken it up, wouldn't it be kind of a good idea to go light or not at all on your traditional pre?
Yeah, I mean, you are going to get some root pruning off of that shallow rooted turf.
Yeah.
So, and that was what you and I started talking about, was basically, do I create a program that maybe we switch into for someone that got a brand new lawn? Like I have one that was a brand new lawn last fall.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to maybe go after it in that manner? Maybe for the first application, and then the second application in middle of May.
Yes, when it's a bit older.
Little older, it's really kind of rooted out, and then maybe put an application of prodiamine down on it.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me. Is let it.
Well, if you're going out in May with that, why not just ditty it here?
Skip the first pre. Skip the first pre. Go to the second one, because again, for me, pre-emergent, when I'm doing it, is always Easter and then tax day. That's how I figure my spring pre, like when I'm going to put down my prodiamine for the summer pre-emergent, because I already have the carryover from my Halloween and Thanksgiving spectacle.
Brent, what's your what? April 1st and June 1st?
I don't know. There's a lot of my customers that don't have a very high crabgrass pressure anymore. They've been customers since like 1992. So a lot of them I can get away with just doing a prodiamine application, just one shot in, boom. Not a lot of crabgrass pressure. The newer ones I definitely I can split up. So But on the older, more established ones that have been cleaned up, it's not really worth it for me to try to go after it twice, especially since the pressure isn't there. But I
Right,
did.
right.
I mean, what's the point of doing it if it's something that you're not going to encounter, right? So it's a
Yeah.
waste of
Waste
product.
of pro-
Well, it's a
yeah.
waste of product, but is it, what's, I guess, as a pro applicator, right? What's the rub? Is it a waste of product, or is it a security blanket or insurance versus
Mhm.
callbacks that you're going to have to deal with,
Mhm.
because, well, let's run the gamut and see who I have to go deal with.
Mm.
You have, a few hundred customers that you're dealing with. Some guys have thousands, I mean,
Sure.
they can't afford to go back.
No,
Yeah,
no, and
yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think, and I definitely do have the ones where we'll split it between the prodiamine application and dimension applications, and those are ones that have been, newer lawns or newer customers that have issues and stuff like that. We'll make that part of their program. But what I wanted to talk about earlier when the subject came up is that I normally usually get that call from a newly established lawn that we put in the previous year, and they're calling me early on saying, "Where are you?" And I'm like, I'm holding off because I know I still want to put down a pre-emergent for you, so I'm just giving it a chance to establish it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, give it time, because here's the other thing that I've heard of, where I also have heard the chatter where, in the first year after establishment you can't apply anything, and I call baloney on that. You can,
Well, you
just
can.
be smart about it, right? Just
Yeah,
be a little bit more intelligent about, I guess, your product selection and your rates and your actual time of application or timing, where, like Brent said, if you seed it in the fall, it would serve that lawn well for you to, like, wait another month in the spring before actually putting down pre-emergent, and give it another month. I mean,
And
that's
let's
perfectly reasonable.
clarify. Let's clarify seeding in the fall. If you just did a maintenance app overseeding,
Mm-hmm.
where you did some aeration and overseeding, you probably can just go with your regular program.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to play. If
sure.
you've done a full blown seeding, a renovation where you've started new, or
Right.
really try to, really put a heavy rate down because it was not a great stand, that's when you want to do that. Because I can already hear the panic in people's voices saying, "Well, I did an overseed last year, so I can't put pre-emergent."
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables.
You're right. You're
Well,
absolutely right. When I talk about seating, for me, is that the Lesco renovator has traveled.
Has left the building.
Yeah, yeah, this is like a full-on reseed, but then, in any case, it, as long as you know that and you make the appropriate adjustments, you see, there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all answer.
Sure. Yeah.
There is no such
100%.
thing, and I can see it where people's heads are exploding because they want a simple one-size-fits-all answer, and the one-size-fits-all answer that they get is usually wrong.
Mhm.
By those people that we know that are on YouTube.
Not even pointing fingers at them. I just
Hmm.
like Brent and
Well-
I kind of we kind of surf around in some of the remedial or beginner areas, lawn care web Facebook pages.
Mm-hmm.
And
Prime
there's-
example, that 12 acres that I done.
Well, just going to say, there's guys that want an answer, like you recommend, like, hey, use this, and I've gotten back, what product exactly are you recommending? And I'm saying use prodiamine. It's a pre-emergent. What manufacturer are you recommending exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people and that want to just they love a program. Like, hey, tell me to buy A, B, C, and D, and I'll buy them and I'll put them out and I'll see what kind of results I get. I mean, there is Scott's has made a lot of money doing that
Mm-hmm.
because they told them exactly what to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult for people to understand that there is a lot of nuance to what can be done.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that, I get a lot of people that kind of get frustrated with me, and they're not even customers. Maybe I'll be talking with my friends, or they know they know I own my own lawn care business or something. They just start asking questions, and then I start asking them questions. They're, what are you doing?
Yep.
They're like,
Okay.
well, for every one question you ask me, I got about 4 more for you. So
Ah! Okay, Brent, that is like my experience as well, where somebody asks me a question and it's guaranteed that I have at least 4 to 5 questions for them. And once they answer those 4 to 5 questions, that generates another 4 to 5 questions for every answer that they've provided me. So you see, it is not a matter of a quick, canned, one size fits all answer, because even for like that intense pre-emergent program that I described, where I'm doing 4 applications of pre-emergent per year, that does not go on every single grass type or every single lawn. There's nuance to that as well. So it's not like everybody gets spectacle and prodiamine every year at those time frames, because I also know that if I do that on certain grasses or in certain situations, that person no longer has a lawn,
yeah. Mhm.
period. Because, hey, we got root pruning, major root pruning. And I got to tell you about what happened when somebody I know decided to apply that Scott's Halts, which is a pendimethalin granular.
Okay.
And that pendimethalin granular is basically applied at what I call the high cut cool season rate. And the person that did that on their low cut warm season lawn
Ooh.
soon didn't have grass.
They began their renovation without even knowing it.
Oh, Lashy.
Step one.
Not wrong. Step 1.
Step one, kill it.
Oh, and there's a sad story to that too, because that Holtz failed to control the weeds that they were having an issue with.
Too bad it wasn't El Toro Zoya Ferre.
But, and then you see, that is the problem of people looking for the fast answer, or
Yeah.
not really analyzing their situation, right? You need to analyze their situation, and if somebody asks a question, it then becomes a matter of walking them through and getting them to analyze their situation so that they can make the best choices.
And that kind of brings me back to, and I come across this with potential customers, or if I'm doing an estimate or something, and I want to show you a bag of something that I just bought.
Wow.
Uh,
Oh yeah. I've had
But-
those too, Brent.
mhm.
But and that fine. I can do an analysis for you on a bag of whatever you got. But I always find it for me, I always find it funny that they present you the front of the bag. And then the immediate, as a professional, the immediate
You
thing
flip it
do-
over.
Flip
I
it
wanna-
over.
Yeah, I want to look at the back. I want to look at the back. Or
Because that's
I'm
that's
gonna go to the
retail.
very bottom corner where
Yeah.
the AI is.
Yeah.
yeah.
That did flip it over.
from
Yeah.
someone who has
Okay,
has
you just
worked in
talked about-
corporate retail, that's how it's sold. It's sold by that picture. They show that image of weeds and insects, and then they show it kind of dying, and then they show green grass. And to that, a person buys it. They're like, "Oh, this works. I have that weed that's in that picture right there. I have that." And it's over to the right. It's not there anymore. So this will get rid of it.
Okay, and that is also the horror caused by. Okay, you mentioned Weed Be Gone, right, Lushy? And Weed Be Gone went through several iterations. One of their iterations was involving triclopyr, MCPA, and dicamba.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, hot. And I would have no problems with that on a cool season turf or Zoysia. But can you imagine what happens when Sally consumer gets that and starts spraying that on a warm season grass that is not Zoysia? And remember the triclopyr in it.
Yeah.
She's
And
begun a renovation without even knowing.
yeah. Lady has started her renovation without knowing, because I literally saw it where everywhere that stuff was done, man, that spurge is crumbling, but it also looks like the Bikini Atoll around that spurge. Okay, that's how bad it was. Serious.
Are we talking 1942 Bikini Atoll, or are we talking like 2005?
1942 Busy Bees. That one. Okay, that one. I mean, and as Leslie said, she started her renovation and she didn't know it.
No, new customers are always a hoot. You know, like the soil report I shared. He's a new customer. He signed up and he says, "Oh, I had another guy. I just know what he came. I didn't know what he did, and I think I might have popped his mind on when I told him everything that we were gonna do." And he was like, "Oh, all right." And he said, "Well, I like to sneak out and put a little, more loganite out there, and and that's why I expected that phosphorus level to be through the roof, and it was way less than I thought."
Well,
I think
it's a 640. How much is he throwing?
yeah.
Well,
but
I don't know that, and I told him, "Look, if I catch you doing that, I'm gonna fire you."
oh, yes.
So I said, I'm like, if you have some, give it away. Like, just
give
get
it
rid
away.
of it. Just
Lose it.
Give it to your brother, and we'll get you
going.
Get you going. But his come to find out, typical fashion of most new customers, they will go and buy fertilizer, but his pH is I think it was a 5.5 off the top of my head. I think I sent it to Brent too.
Yeah, I remember that. It was 5.5 Lushy and or 5.6, but then still because it was under 6.5, that right there is your clue. And you see, you know what I marvel at? The fact that his P levels are not astronomical.
I was shocked that his phosphorus levels are. It was a Malik 3 test, 55 parts per million. I mean, I get him back.
Your potassium levels are like damn near non-existent.
That's typical. That was 28 parts per million. That for me. That's my normal. I'm in I think 33 is about my average. 35 is the average out of 200 tests in the past 2 years, and averaging them all out, it comes out to 35 parts per million.
So it sounds like when you apply nitrogen, then Lushy, that means that you're basically applying that nitrogen as like a 101 when possible, right?
Hence
Pretty
the reason.
much.
That's why we came up with our 20-0-20 last year.
The Lush-X.
Lush-X 2.0.
Yeah. But well, and I have another little tidbit for people listening in is that when soil is that acidic, The issue is that even that 50 parts per million of phosphorus or
Isn't
whatever
really available.
is not really available, because here's what's happening within the soil.
But I have
When
some
you're
stuff I can apply that will unlock it.
No,
Your groundwater.
but when your soil is that acidic, any phosphorus in that soil is combining with any manganese or iron or aluminum present in that soil and forming an insoluble and unavailable compound. And so,
And my
You ba-
manganese and iron are through the roof.
fantastic. And your pH is 5.5. I mean, I tell you what, I'm not kidding about you investing in that Equalon top dressing spreader and buying limestone in a 1-ton super sack and just going ham on all those lawns. Okay, I'm not kidding about that.
I'll
So,
tell
Ray,
you, it
Ray,
was,
can we just go to the quarry?
yeah.
Just
Well, we
blast
used
it
to-
out.
We used to have a quarry here that did the powder.
a limestone
Yeah,
powder,
we
right?
used to be able to they'd go fill up dump trucks, and guys would drive back. The old guys from the rec department that I
Mhm.
used to work at used to talk about going down to Conklin Lime and picking up a 6-wheeler full of lime, and they would laugh. They'd be like, quarter of it was gone by the time we got back because it was all over the highway because we were driving
Oh,
down
shoot.
at 60 miles an hour,
Oh Lord.
and it was just a big dust cloud flowing out behind. But while we were at GIE, we were looking at different ride-on spreaders just for lime applications, like just to have for lime because of the amount of lime we put out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know you, me, and Shane deep dive into a lot of shit while we were
Yeah.
there Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, you folks were looking at like these top dressing spreaders, and the reason why I say a top dressing spreader is because lime application rate for Lushy is like
This one's 60. Comes up
60.
average is 30. It's 35 on new customers, but per thousand.
35 per
35
thousand.
pound. Yep.
And I know that most normal lawn spreaders, they basically tap out at 10 to 15 pounds per 1,000 square foot in one pass. That's
Yep.
that's what I know about your typical,
That's
lawn.
about where the permagreen's at is.
Yeah.
In low gear, we're at about 12 and a half, I think is where we figure it at.
12 and a half, and that's
Yep.
low gear and the bottom gate all
wider.
the way spread.
I'm
all the
about
way
13,
spread.
14 with the Z spray.
Yep.
Yeah, spread open, and so, that.
So
That's
that's why I break that out into. So for someone like this that needs 66 pounds, I'll break that out into two 25-pound applications. We'll do an early spring, then kind of a midsummer one, with alternating fertilizer applications in between it, and then we'll follow at the end of the year because that'll get us 50 pounds of domolytic lime because our magnesium
is bottomed out too.
That one's 44 parts per million. That's bottomed out. I mean, our calcium is 577. That's bottomed out. And then we'll do a calcitic lime at the end. And that'll get us, and we should, if we hit it that hard, we should get a.
How high does your pH go if you follow that program, Lushy? How high?
That would probably bump it a half a point in a year.
Right.
What if you use the double calcitic fast acting lime?
It's calling for the manganese too. The magnesium, excuse me. So
you kind of need it.
I need it, and it's pretty quick because it's got some real fine ground stuff in it too.
What if when you did your growth control treatment, you done the limit there?
We did. Well, that's why we would do 2 applications there. We do the 25 and a 25. So we're at 50 by, I'd say, June.
Mm-hmm. By 50 by June, and you're actually kind of doing it the good way because in general, when you're applying lime to existing grass, I find that anything over 25 pounds of lime at one time during the growing season basically is almost like burying the grass in lime.
Sure. Yeah.
Too much.
Mhm.
It's a lot. I mean,
Definitely.
of
Mhm.
course, if I happen to catch a lawn that is in renovation, like it's just dirt and I'm going to till it and roll it first,
Mhm.
that's when I go ham on the lime.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's when it's like,
100%.
okay, that's when it's like,
Because you-
okay, 150 pounds right now. And then it gets tilled in, rolled, and then grass established on top of that. But then, of course,
Now-
here's
now,
the
Ray,
problem.
Do you like a 3-point tiller or do you like a Harley rake?
I actually like the full on 3-point tiller. It's needed.
Well, because
It's-
you have to incorporate that within like 6 inches down into the soil. Harley rake's not going to do that
Yeah,
at that kind of rate.
and also I want to make sure that there is no layering. I want to make sure that there's no layering in the root zone because, like, I'm dealing with a lawn right now where it is it's a literal shed fire because I have pockets of gravel in some places, I have pockets of organic matter in other places, and then I have soil. And my question to this person is, okay, why do you have all of this different stuff in the lawn? Because my clue is, okay, the gravel, the area with a pocket of gravel under it, dries up and dies when it stops raining
Sure.
because
Yeah.
it dries out too fast.
Yeah.
And then the organic matter area always stays too wet. And then that all would have been prevented had, before the sod been installed, that whole lawn area got deep tilled and then rolled to mix everything all together. Everything's the same, and there's no pockets of conflicting or differing materials. That's just why. And of course, if you are amending, like say somebody needs to throw down 100 pounds of sulfur or 100 pounds of lime because they need to drastically change soil pH, it is suggested that they incorporate that into the area as best as possible. And the reason why that little bit of work done before establishment, it will save you so much headache, hassles, and pain dealing with that lawn later.
Now we got busy, got some reports that came in, and they were pretty drastic, kind of like what I normally get, and hence the reason I threw that one up. The now would
Yeah,
you? And it's
it
an
was-
existing lawn, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
existing lawns. One was 21 pounds per thousand of lime. One was 48 pounds per thousand of lime, and another was like 62 per thousand.
Mhm.
So are all of us massholes just going to go over to Eco Lawn and be like, "Hey, look, we need 4 of these."
Brent needs 4 just to cover his square footage and 6 tractor trailer loads of lime to show up at his house.
Yeah. Or
I'm
he need-
gonna need the same. How many
Yeah,
do you
he-
need, Lushy?
We're getting close. I think we've done. We'll get a half a trailer load delivered at the end of the year. I think we had.
When you
15 pallets?
started talking about your the
I just had
Yeah,
70
pounds.
pallets of fertilizer dropped at my house.
when you started talking about the pounds per thousand square feet, I happened to reach over to my last, I don't know, maybe 20 soil tests that I pulled last year, and every single one, and this is no lie, I can show you on camera. It goes 75 pounds per thousand, 65 pounds per thousand, 75, 62, 72, 72, 68.
Yep.
Oh man, I mean, you know what that is? That's the
No,
Equal
68.
on
I owe you one.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
Ecolon spreader, and then the lime by the ton.
Let's see,
Okay.
Brett, your average square footage is like what, 23,000
Yeah,
property?
average square foot property is about 20 to
So
20.
figure we're at about 68. So you need about 1,500 pounds, 1,600 pounds per property.
Mhm.
So half a pallet per property, and on to the next one. So just basically, you need a tractor trailer to drive around to
to
your
follow
property.
around, yeah.
Yeah, I need an entire fleet of tractor trailers just going down the road.
You just have a pallet drop. We used to do that for pavers when I was in that industry. We
What
used to
what
do-
you need to
just-
do is you need to convince Tilly to build a business of tractor trailer guys and just let him have a guy follow you around.
Yeah, have Tully, plan the logistics of dropping the pallets of lime or whatever, because I know, like, with what I do, should I need to do something like that, one call to my Simplot guy, and I tell them, okay, I'm doing a job here, and I need a pallet of this material at this location, and they say, okay, Ray, done. They just drop
Sure.
pallet, and I cut open that pallet, and I'm in business. But in the case of you, it sounds almost like you need a logistics company, offloading pallets at all of these addresses with the lime on it, and you just show up and throw her down. Literally. Literally.
and that equal one is no joke. Where Ray and I and Ryan have actually joked about it, and I actually talked to the manufacturer and said, I want to spread lime with one of these. Do you know if this is calibrated for that? And I'm trying, and they kind of like looked at me like I was crazy. I'm like, no, I have situations where we have to put out 1,000 pounds of lime on a property. Like, this is, and
Sure.
they kind of looked at me like, yeah, were you crazy?
I know
Oh,
Cushman will.
Oh,
the Cushman top dressing spreaders.
No, the Cushman the Cushman like the flatbed that has the belt driven for like
they'll
sand.
put it out. They'll put it out, but
They sling it.
understand. But at what calibrated rate? And do you want a FAFO in someone's lawn when you pull up with one of those things and you say, all right, and you throw 800 pounds in it and you walk 300 feet and it's empty. And you're like,
too much.
This is supposed to go over the whole property.
This is supposed to go over the entire lawn, guys. I mean,
Son of a bitch. I guess we'll do this again in 2 weeks.
I'm gonna pick this part of the yard up and sprinkle it around all over the whole spot.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why, if you have the, broadcast top dressing spreader, that sounds like it, because say you like close down the gate on that top dressing spreader a little bit so that it's no longer just, blowing like a ton of sand per 1,000 square foot, which is what those things can do.
Right.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, we don't need a ton of product down per 1,000 square foot. We're
a little bit less.
A little bit less. So that's been kind of my just trying to figure out can it be done?
Can it be? Well, and the thing is that I also know that those top dressing spreaders are also applicable to like the Gulf green rates of sand, because the Gulf green rates of sand are sometimes as low as 50 to 100 pounds per 1,000 square foot. Okay, because there's programs on Gulf greens where rather than dropping a high rate of sand a couple times a year, they're only spreading like 50 or 100 pounds of sand every 2 weeks. So it's a constant light top dressing and not a berry.
Right.
Okay, so I would imagine that is doable given what the top dressing spreaders are adaptable for. Is you can send it and drop a ton at a time, or you can also dial them down and get that 100-pound rate.
Well, Ray, next question, because I have one of those chicken shit spreaders,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking about using it and utilizing it.
If you
I'm not
can,
using it in my pasture anymore.
yeah. So if you can gate that thing down, busy bees, so that you can get that 50 or 100 pound at a time spread rate, why not? I mean, it might take a little bit of modification, but I would explore that because I know exactly what you're talking about. The manure wagon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I know
and
what that is.
I'm thinking about using that for my sand this year with my 89 fucking tons I'm gonna have dropped.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, why not utilize that and just kind of like modify it so it'll acceptably control rather than that clumpy manure stuff, your granular stuff or your fine free flowing stuff like sand. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well,
Brent,
I know the ag.
are you
I know
so
the
happy
ag
we don't have the
co-op.
top dress?
Huh?
Oh
I know
yeah, I'm over the moon.
I know the ag co-ops can sit there and they can do chicken shit, or they can run fertilizer and they can get them whatever they want
Mhm.
in the trucks.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking
they,
I can do the exact same thing with my chicken shit spreader.
yeah, well, those guys have essentially the gigantic version of the Ecolon built on top of a, you know,
6-wheel floating tire system.
yeah, the 6-wheel. Yeah, they have that so that the operator just pushes the button and starts slinging. I mean, that's what they got. Understood.
Yeah, we put 2,900 to 3,100 pounds of fertilizer on our Bermuda on that test plot at TTI.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
We are just over an hour now, so I was gonna start to wrap it up. I just one question here that Ray, I believe you'd be able to answer. It came in from Jay Farm just a little bit earlier ago, and
Mm.
he asked when using the Mezzo and Quinclorac as a pre-strategy for a Reno, what rates? And he was saying 4 ounce acre Mezzo and full rate of Quinclorac.
Yup. That's what you do. That's exactly what you do. And just know that if you do that, that then gives you room to apply another 4 ounces of Mezzo and another app of Quinclorac 30 to 45 days later if you need it. And that then will carry you through at least 90 to 100 days of weed control coverage overall. I mean, that's just an alternate way of doing it, especially if you're going into the situation where you have just renovated or you need to renovate and you need to get your weeds under some management. That's just a good strategy. And you know what? I find that is the most underutilized way of doing things because I get looked at like I've got 4 heads on top of my head when I tell people use Quinclorac as a pre.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
But-
Ray, I have a question with that.
Mhm.
Would you stack, say, crossbow or just straight triclopyr, or would you run sulfentrazone with that too?
Okay, no sulfent.
Depending on the time. And
Depending on the time
and
and
depending on the renovation.
depending on the renovation, because again, as Lushy mentioned,
Because there's plus and minuses to both.
yeah, there's plus or minuses because okay, if like you put in 2,4-D triclopyr or straight triclopyr with that mix, that is a killer for wild violets and clover. Okay, that's a killer for those weeds. But if you have, and oh, by the way, triclopyr is also rather gentle on recent renovations. It is. It's most cool season grasses are rather tolerant of it, so that's an option. But
Because
then,
you're not going to run it with the MSO either.
yeah, you're just going to kind of go light. But then the other part of your question was sulfentrazone. Save that for when the grass is more mature and better able to tolerate. That's my thought on it. Is always keep in mind how well the grass is going to tolerate whatever you decide to treat it with. And it just so happens that recently established grass, very tolerant of mesotrione, very tolerant of quinclorac, very tolerant of triclopyr. So that's going to be your winners there. And then, of course, if you need sulfentrazone, keep that for when the grass is a little more mature and better able to tolerate it, because I tend to think of sulfentrazone as my herbicide for established turf that has a nutsedge problem.
Well, I say this to be meso, quinclorac,
Mm.
triclopyr, sulfentrazone as underutilized, and it's not a pretty much buy my ship program. They're not out here in the corporate lawn care saying, "Oh, this is how you do it."
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's
see your-
easy to mix. It's easy to understand the label rates. It's easy to figure out how to use it.
Mhm.
And for the DIY guy, it's
works.
honestly
It-
cheap.
and it works. And
Mhm.
it absolutely works. And, I still remember that Project Lawn that I saw back in 2021 in Knoxville, Upper Knoxville, and
Eric's,
yeah, and that was the one.
I remember
where-
those videos. Remember when those were going to come out? That was awesome.
Yeah.
yeah,
well,
I'm still waiting and watching
But-
the coconut Wi-Fi stickle.
yeah, but anyway, what I saw when I was walking around in Eric's lawn was he had patches of wild violet all the heck over the place. So
Y'all also used Daiquat in that video.
no, that was actually
The pond
That one was
somewhere
a-
around there.
no, that was actually a special that I used on his, because it was a recently seeded Reno that had wild violet coming out of it. I elected to go 2,4-D triclopyr quinclorac, and just and last I heard from Jay Pink is after I did that application, the wild violet essentially folded. It folded.
No,
Now, was
wasn't around the pond area that you used Daiquat though?
No, I just avoided any spray drift or runoff into the pond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You made
see-
you made a mention of something. You made a mention of something, I think. And you're like, if you're going to treat this area, use Daiquat or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
That was it.
yeah, I made a mention of that, but then the actual practice was then when I actually did spray it, I made sure that nothing landed in the pond because of the quinclorac and the 2,4-D and the triclopyr. So, but that, come to find out, then Turf Therapy decided to say, yeah, Ray, when you were spraying that lawn, you looked like Fred Astaire. Okay. No, he literally said that. He said, yeah, you look like Fred Astaire when you're
Well, I mean,
treating
Palmer
that.
gives credit where credit is due.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Brent, was J Farms a fall renovation or is this a spring renovation?
J Farms.
know? Yeah, that question you had.
I don't think it specifies.
Yeah,
No.
I didn't. I couldn't
J Farm, can you tell us if it was a spring or fall?
because
Yeah.
what I use Ray's program with something he and I worked up together where I will for spring seedings, which is always my favorite, and I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
I will start off with a 4-ounce rate of just mesotrione. 30 days later, I do a 4-ounce rate of mesotrione with a half rate of quinclorac.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do another half rate of quinclorac and the 4-ounce of mesotrione another 30 days later. So now, it gets me 90 days out and I've only
Mhm.
put in a full rate of quinclorac out. So I
Yeah.
still have that full rate to go back out again and
in
put
the fall.
in the fall, or if I start to see a little breakthrough or something like that, I can come after it again and get after
Mhm.
things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, That's another good
So we got to answer.
strategy. Yeah, that's another good strategy. So
No, J Farm replied. He said it
What
would
did
be late summer. Haven't done it yet. The last one was a KBG test plot, and it was late summer. So by
okay,
late summer, are you talking August, September? Because that's normally like our aeration overseeding. That's when we're doing our
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
normal.
Yeah, so that would be
overseeding.
some. And if that was like a renovation at that point, you'd want to steer away from. If it's that time frame, you'd want to steer away from that sulfentrazone because those are still going to be slightly
Exactly.
delicate. So you'd want to come out with that, open up of quinclorac, tenacity,
Well, I mean, if you're
and
doing
some.
if you're doing a reno like that, why not just go glide over the top with Viso? Do the
Mhm.
whole thing.
Depends
Well,
on what his situation was.
depends on
That's
how
already
much
it's already done. He's already
No,
done it.
if you're doing a full reno,
Mhm.
Yeah.
one of the glide Miso.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
You can. Well, here's the thing: is that there?
We're
I've
talking
come to
about the spring, though.
Yeah, I've come to understand that there's the reno and keep the existing grass, and then there's the
So he commented
dirt,
back. He said it will be mostly a
dirt.
weed free kill, just upgrading cultivars.
Yeah, it's called a keep the existing and just add to it without
Mm-hmm.
opening yourself up for weeds. I mean, and that is like to me the beauty of cool season grasses is that you can just keep on adding and changing them, whereas okay, something like a sodded zoysia, ugh. I always,
Let's go Floritam St. Aug.
yeah,
Let's go Centipede, El Toro Zoysia,
uh-huh.
and Toma 31
Well, here's
in the
thing.
same yard doing it reno, and you want to keep the grass.
You can't. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one, and no matter
The
what,
beauty of Q season, you can.
yeah, the
We
beauty of
cannot.
Yeah. The beauty of cool season is that anytime you need to upgrade or fix something, it's a lot less painful versus these sodded worm season varieties where I always tell people make sure you truly want this grass and pick wisely because did I tell you about that Tahoma 31 lawn that I saw this last Sunday?
that grass board. Oh,
Yeah. Anyway,
why
the
do you think I
back
sent the pictures today and said grass
Yeah.
board for you?
yeah. You see, the backstory of that was that was a zoysia lawn that declined and died. And
Now was it
so
Palisade, or
El Toro.
El Toro?
El Toro and Emerald. El Toro and
Ooh,
but anyway,
Emerald died.
yeah, Emerald died.
Oh wow.
But anyway, so that was not a case of reseed and patch. So I guess somebody got $5,000 worth of Tahoma 31.
Nah, just throw your Xenon Zoysia on it.
But
It'll blend. Don't worry.
the good part is that we now have Bermuda. We now
I
have
can't wait.
Bermuda.
I cannot wait to see that with GM 1000.
Yeah. As I said, I'm going to send pictures. I am going to send pictures when I finally do the first mow on that lawn.
No, set a camera up and do a video because we will live stream of this.
Oh gosh.
I
Okay.
will go right now. I will go buy the domain for Only Loans and post this to it. It will be the first video.
Okay.
Well, on that note, I think I'll end it. I would like to take this moment to thank our guests, Ray, Mike, Aaron, for joining us on the 10th live stream for Western Mass Turf. Thanks, gentlemen. Your expertise is always welcome here, and I'd love to have you all back on again at some point as well. And to everyone at home watching, thanks for tuning in to Western Mass Turf. We're a small channel, but we got some big names on here. So if you like what you see tonight, don't forget to leave a like. And if you like the content, subscribe. We're putting out true information out there. We're not selling anything. We're just trying to help everyone improve either in their landscape industry or in their own home
I'll
law.
sell a hat.
And Lushy,
Free hat. Free hat.
Hey, Brent, how many subscribers do you have?
I think we're at 112 or something like that. It's not.
We get 1,000 subscribers by GIE. The 4 of us will come back on live and do a giveaway.
I say if we get I think if Brent gets say, I don't know, 112, 115, we can come back on live again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was doing a special.
If Brent gets 1,000 subscribers, we'll give away a free Lush Lawns hat. How's that?
Perfect.
Yes.
I'll
Free hat.
I'll put in one of my Western Mass Turf hats in there.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Anyway, thanks again, gentlemen.
One of my shirts.
All right.
Thank you, and have a great night. Take care.
Take care.